All right, folks, what's going on? This is episode 791 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. And today, we're going to talk a little bit of both teams. We're going to talk a little bit of Georgia Southern and Atlanta, but we're going to lean towards Atlanta because it is some interesting things continuously happening in the NFL. Not so much on the college side, but there's something there. We'll talk about that. And with these episodes now being once a week, I can add more content to the episodes, so it's going to be a little bit longer. And throughout the week, it gives me more time to make the regular videos that I do throughout the week that most people tend to watch more, and I really appreciate that. So we'll get into all of this. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. Also, I am on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you want to check out the show on Rumble, that's the visual side. You can watch the actual video. YouTube and Apple, they have just the audio. Spotify, it's pretty much the same way. I think you can watch it as well. So all that is there for you guys liking. If you want to follow me on X at VF Baller, I'll mostly just post a lot of links and I'll put some things out there every now and then. The website is firstandframerates.com. And if you want to support the show, CashApp and PayPal links are below. Let's just get straight into this. The new kickoff rule has been set. It's basically the XFL rule. I remember when the XFL was pretty much starting, and they had a few rules that I actually liked. The kickoff rule was one of them. Actually, I like the replay rule as well, and that was pretty cool too. And I also thought that the NFL could have implemented that. I thought it would have been really neat if they did, but for the most part, it was just a kickoff for now. I doubt if they'll ever, excuse me, if they will actually implement the replay rule where you can actually see the transparency there. I'm not sure if they would do that, but nevertheless, the kickoff rule is in place, and I think it will highly favor the Atlanta Falcons. I know we just lost Cordell Patterson. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers is definitely going to have a really good season, especially in a kickoff game when it comes to Cordell Patterson with these new rules. I would think. I know he's getting a little bit older, but using him, if they use him the right way, it will be beneficial. As far as the Falcons, you got two. You have two return guys, one possibly coming back, hopefully, and that will be a really big deal for the return game. Avery Williams averaged almost 17 yards a kick before he got injured, and I think this new kickoff rule will absolutely be great for him if his injury is all back on the up and up. And you got Ray McLeod, another guy who's pretty good at kickoffs as well. So not only that, the Falcons are trying to do good offensively when they're trying to get their guys in in space to make some plays and make some score some points. Obviously they want to get them in really good position by getting good field position. So I think this is an absolute great move for the Falcons if they decide, with Ray McLeod, but if they decide to bring Avery Williams, you got two guys in the backfield that can make some things happen. Now, especially in the return game, and that makes a really big deal when you have a high power offense like the Falcons look on paper right now. I mean, you got like at least 7 guys on. You gotta understand, there's 11 guys on offense, and pretty much 5 of those guys are offensive linemen. 5 of them are offensive linemen. So you're basically looking at 6 guys that are playmakers. And the Falcons basically, they put that together. You got 6 guys that are on offense that are playmakers, and that's absolutely phenomenal. When you get guys like this that can, get good field position for the Falcons, you're talking about a team that can easily score 30, 35 points a game. And if you're scoring 30 or 35 points a game, you're probably going to end up deep in the playoffs. I mean, that's just how it goes nowadays. When you are in the position to make put that many points up on the board, regardless of your defense. And I really say that regardless of defense, and we'll talk a little bit defense in a little bit. But regardless of the defense, you put up 30-something points a game, you're going to do well. And if you're putting up that many points, anyway, it's going to be hard for a lot of teams to keep up because not many teams have a high-power offense that can give you 30 points. Some of them can't even give you 21 points a game in the NFL nowadays. So if we have an offense that can stretch the defense around, and actually put up points, we're going to be a problem. And and I'm gonna revert back to defense because I'm not just saying don't worry about defense because of the fact that you still have some holes on defense to fix. You want somebody next to Jesse Bates. I think Richie Grant did okay, but you still may want to put somebody out there next to Jesse Bates. You also have AJ Terrell. Should you resign him? I think you couldn't resign him. Those type of cornerbacks don't grow on trees. It's gonna be hard to find somebody like that. You get somebody on the number 2 side. Maybe you already have him in Clark Phillips, or you may just draft another one and put Clark Phillips in a nickel, or you may swap that, leave Clark Phillips number 2 and put that guy in a nickel. I mean, you have a lot of options in that area as well. Pass rush, everybody's talking about pass rush right now. Do you go get Jared Verse? Do you get Dallas Turner? I think, be quite honest, the way things are going now, I don't feel that Calais Campbell is coming back. I think he would have been back by now. Maybe I'm wrong, but it doesn't feel like he's coming back. So with that being said, go get you the edge rusher in the first round. I know a lot of people are now talking about Michael Penix. Will we get him in the second round? Go back in the first to get him because he did a really good on his in his pro day. It's a lot going on there, but you have to shore up what you have now or what you need now. Go ahead and get that pass rusher that can really change the game for you. I'm highly here for that. I think that will be a phenomenal look if you was to get that type of player on the other side of Arnold Ebiketie or somebody next to a Grady Jarrett, somebody next to Cavantes. I think I said that right. Contavious Sweat. I'm right. Sorry. Contavious Sweat. You already got your linebackers. Your linebackers are good. Now, the thing about that is Dallas Turner can move back and forth the linebacker if need be. So you have a more versatile guy. A lot of people, and I've heard this on the radio here in Atlanta, a lot of people want to talk about getting a bona fide pass rusher just to get after the quarterback. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against that, but nowadays you want a guy that's a little bit more versatile, that could do a little bit more. I know Jared versus that guy that you probably want to go after. I do like the Dallas Turner's situation, especially like, so much have changed since Kirk Cousins became the quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. Because I was on the Caleb Williams train. I was I always felt like for some reason I didn't think we were able to get Jaden Daniels, but I felt like you move all the way up to get Caleb Williams, or you just try to get Michael Penix at 8. You can move back to get Michael Penix at 8. But there's so many moving parts now. Now they're talking about JJ McCarthy. He's going to be the guy. And then what about Drake May? He's going to be like the top quarterback. It's so much going on. I am glad that we were able to get a quarterback in free agency, albeit it was a little expensive. I'm okay with that. So with that being said, the defensive side should be a priority for the draft. Like I said, you may want to move, Dallas Turner in certain situations where you can, trick the offense thinking that he's coming to rush, but he can actually cover, or he can go on the outside and defend somebody. I think he's more of that guy that's a big time athlete. And you got to understand, guys, we have Arnold Ebiketie, we have Zach Harrison. I don't know if Bud Dupree coming back. Grady Jarrett's coming back. You got Contavious. You got some guys there that can get at the quarterback. I'm not going to say you don't need a bona fide pass rusher, but with the day and age of the offense, with how the offense are ran nowadays, I would love to get somebody who's a little bit more versatile and could do a little bit more. I'm not sure if Jared Verse could do that. Maybe I'm wrong. Even if you do get him, it's not a bad thing. It's just my personal opinion. You already have a Troy Anderson. You got Nate Landman. You got Caden Ellis. You got some guys out of there, but you could put those guys in other places if need be, if, a Dallas Turner is here. So, I mean, he could do a little bit of everything. I mean, he can pass, I'm saying it backwards. He can pass protect. I'm sorry. You can also rush the passer. You can do it a little bit of everything. So, I mean, with that being said, you're not necessarily in a bad spot when you get any of these guys. I just think Dallas Turner is probably the best fit for the Falcons right now, especially at number 8. So that's just my opinion. And with that being said, you can also try to go corner later on in the draft. I still feel like they're going to go wide receiver somewhere late in the draft. Some people are already talking about Ricky Pearsall out of Florida. They're saying that he's going to be the best fit for the Falcons. I don't know where they're going to be able to draft him at. I can look it up real quick and see, but you just can't go. You can't go wrong with any of the receivers that are out there. You got Darnell Mooney, you got Ray McLeod, you got Rondell Moore, you got a good bit of people here. But with with Pearsall, you're talking about a guy that's 6'1", 189. He's run a 4.4, 42-inch vertical. I'm not looking at those numbers. I don't see why they wouldn't go for him in day 2. This is a guy that they can go after day 2. And to be honest with you, this could be a guy that they don't have to necessarily, get right away. I'm not saying that it's going to be a guy that you got to get in the second round or you can move all the way back to the end of the second round. Not many teams are talking about this guy. Everybody's talking about the other receivers that are out there, like the Neighbors and a couple of other guys, Dunze. This is a kid that day 2 that could actually, he could contribute right away with this offense. So I'm not necessarily sure if they were, go after him, but this is not a bad look if they was to go after a guy like this. So it's one thing about the Falcons right now, and I'm gonna jump over to Georgia Southern in a second. One thing about the Falcons is the Falcons are in a really good position to do pretty much anything. They don't necessarily have to be honest with you, they don't necessarily have to go Dallas Turner with the 8th pick. They don't have to go defense at all. They can go anywhere on the draft board and the team is actually in a good spot. Now, do I think they should go after defense? Absolutely. Day 2, should they go after a corner or a receiver? Yeah, I think they should. But they can literally go best player available outside of let's be honest. You may not want to go like running back or anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you may not want to do that. You may not want to go free safety. What is it? Jesse Bates is strong safety, right? Yeah, you may not want to go. You may not want to get somebody in the same position. Jesse Bates is. I mean, that kind of makes no sense. But outside of that, really, to be honest with you, outside of getting somebody to go under the draft, another safety in Jesse Bates' position, I want to keep saying I think he's strong safety. Outside of that, you really could go anywhere on the board. You literally can. With the fact that Zach Harrison and Arnold Ebiketie is doing pretty well, it's not necessarily a total need to go in those positions to get an edge rusher. Now, like I said, I want them to go edge rusher, but if they don't, it's not the end of the world. These guys are more than capable of continuing to improve. Zach Harrison, his rookie year, improved. Arnold Ebiketie made a jump in the second year. Now, does that have a lot to do with the Calais Campbell? Does that have a lot to do with the linebackers, getting, a little bit more keen to the defense? Yeah. But I still feel that these guys, based on repetition and these guys being around long enough, they're going to continue to get better. And with them getting better, you can all right, there's not necessarily a need at any position right now. Maybe wide receiver number 2. Maybe the second wide receiver is the absolute need. Maybe, edge rusher is the absolute need. You're not necessarily wrong if you say yay or nay, to be honest. And I mean that's actually a good problem to have. Maybe corner is the actual, need. But either way, the team itself is not in a bad position to say that, oh my God, we need some type of savior to get us some wins to get us in the playoffs. I think we already kind of got that with the quarterback situation. I think Kirk Cousins easily gives us 4 more wins. That gives us 11 wins on the season, and that will give us a playoff run. And with that being said, we should be in a good position to make things happen here. Especially with the division the way it is. You look at the division, even at this point after free agency, you look at the Panthers, they made some slight upgrades to their defense. You look at the Saints, they did not much of anything, in my opinion. They're still pretty much the same team. You look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're basically running it back. They got Evans and they re-signed Baker Mayfield. They basically running it back, and you see how that played out. I mean, we were able to We were basically able to beat that team twice, but the second time we played them, Lord, I mean, I don't, Arthur Smith, man. I mean, you had at least 3 more wins in your bag and you just fumbled them. But nevertheless, let's go into the Georgia Southern Eagles. What do I have to say about the Georgia Southern Eagles? I'm gonna be quite honest. These guys are having an excellent spring practice. These guys are out here showing that they are improving. They look good. They're playing. I didn't say they're playing. They're practicing at a high level. These guys are looking very good. I'm looking at some clips. I'm getting some updates on some of these kids. They're at the indoor facility that they have now. Georgia Southern could be a big improvement this year. All I ask, to be honest, just get 7 wins. That's all I want. We had 6 wins for the past 2 seasons. Let's get 7. And I'm loving what Georgia Southern is doing. It's just the feel of the team is looking a lot different. A lot of these guys here are actually putting it all on the line when they're out there practicing. Some of these guys are moving and shaking on the field. I love what I see here. I'm loving it. I mean, from the quarterback controversy, quote unquote, and these guys are actually, putting in work to be QB1. We have a good problem to have there. The running backs are looking good. I think Terrence Gibbs is fully healthy now. So good to see him. I mean, I want to see him get some reps. You got like about 4 running backs for the Georgia Southern Eagles that actually can be running back number 1. And that's been an issue that we've been having for years now. And it's a good thing. I think the main thing about it now is offensively what Brian Ellis is going to do to balance out the offense. It's going to be an offense that we're going to be doing a lot of passing like we were under Brian Ellis. It was under Brian Ellis. Is we're going to be doing a lot of that. Did I say Brian Ellis earlier? I mean Applin. I'm sorry. I probably said that wrong. Brian Ellis is at Alabama now. So when you look at what Ellis did for Georgia Southern, we did a lot more passing. With Ryan Applin, are we going to be in a situation where we're going to balance it out more? I would like to see more of a balance. The run game, you got some talented running backs here, and we need to get these guys, we need to get these guys the ball. I want to see us run the ball and set up the pass. I think that in any type of level, any level of football, that is one of the best ways to run a great offense. You start to run to set up the pass. You start passing a lot, you get behind on downs. If it don't work out, you can get sacked and mess up, the whole rhythm of the team. If you run the ball, it sets up a lot. That is one of the reasons why the RPO was a thing at one point. RPO was a thing where people basically set up the run to start passing the ball. It is a tried and true method. So I'm interested to see how that goes. I am seeing a lot of running back play throughout practice. These guys are moving the ball a little bit. I am seeing the quarterbacks. Some of these quarterbacks that we have, they're throwing the ball very well. Now, I've seen like in the beginning of spring practice, a lot of tip passes or whatever, but now you see some of these guys are actually getting the ball downfield. Spring practice is actually in full swing and it's looking really good. It's looking good. I'm pretty much impressed with what I'm hearing, what I'm seeing. These kids are ready to go. Now, they got a big schedule in front of them. I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know what they're going to be able to do, against the likes of an Ole Miss or Boise State. But I think these kids are more than capable of going to win anywhere. That's one thing about Georgia Southern in the football program. They're capable of winning anywhere. The main thing is you just got to have the philosophy, the coaching, and the mindset that Georgia Southern had back. I put it like this. If they have that mindset like they had back in the FCS days or the 1AA days, they can go up against anybody. And we saw how that played out in some cases since they've been in the FBS. I mean, you had close games against Minnesota, the game I don't like to talk about. You saw the game that they had against Nebraska. And I mean, even certain other games where we weren't as competitive, you saw some of these guys actually try to give it their all. I mean, you go look at the LSU game when we got blown out by Joe Burrow and them. But you look at a Kendall Villador, you look at what's his name, number 45, Rashad Burt. You look at these guys that were actually giving it their all. The BYU game when we played against them, it's like, yeah, we came up short, but there are times that these guys played as tough as nails. Now, remove some of that. These guys now are in a totally different era. Most of pretty much all the guys aren't there anymore. That was a part of those teams. I think Jalen White may have been, but you got a lot of guys that were a part of that are in a different era now. Coach Clay Helton, for what it's worth, he's came in and he did fix a lot, because the last few years of Chad Lunsford's tenure, and it's not a knock on him. It's just that he was not able to get the job done, with the team or the staff that he had. I mean, don't get me wrong. I appreciate everything they've done. I mean, that 2018 season will always be great, but it just wasn't up to par. But what Coach Clay Helton has done with this team since, it's been a positive. Has it been a net positive? 6 and 7 2 years in a row was not nothing that I actually wave your pom poms at. But when you look at what this team has done and the way it's been turned around and the things that have been done, you have a different attitude with this team. Is it a better attitude? I would say yeah. I would think it's a better attitude, because at one point Georgia Southern was a grimy and grit team. They will run you into the ground with their blue collar attitude. That's just not what it is now. Ever since that was removed, basically what you could say 2014. This team has been slightly different, and now I don't want to say this team is more of a finesse team, because they got some hogs on this team that are ready to bust you up at any time. They don't mind laying the lumber on you when it's time to make a tackle, but it's not that complete blue collar style team as it was now. These guys now they're gonna beat you with some flash. They're gonna take you down with some blue collar grit at the same time. It's a little bit of mix of both. And if Coach Clay Helton can get these guys to that point to where, hey, listen, we can get the best of both worlds here, and we can win some games at the same time, albeit. I would love to see this team continue to do what they did, like what they did against Ball State. I would love to see them do that on a weekly basis. What they did against Georgia State this past season, I would love to see them do that on a weekly basis. That's the type of team that I would want to see with Georgia Southern at this point. And they can do it. It's just that you just gotta get it in the right mindset for it to happen. And I think they'll be able to. So, I mean, with that being said, I can ramble all day, but this is a little bit longer. This is how these episodes are going to be for the foreseeable future, once a week. Hopefully you guys will check it out every Monday, every Sunday afternoon, whatever, anywhere between that area. I will definitely be putting up the podcast. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you like this commentary, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you guys think about the Georgia Southern Eagles. Have you guys been following what they've been doing on the on spring practice? What about the Falcons? Hey, these guys, they're all over the place, but they're all over the place for the right reasons. This team could be very, very dangerous, and with the return and the kickoff rules, they could be a real problem. So let me know what you guys think. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check me out on X at VFBaller. The website is firstandframerate.com. And also, if you want to support the show, CashApp and PayPal links are below. I'm going to get out of here. You guys enjoy your week. Hopefully everything goes well. And I'll be putting up videos throughout the week as well. So hope you guys check it out. I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.